Convenience was supposed to make life better, and in the obvious ways it did. Food arrives without cooking. Movies start without leaving the house. Shopping happens without walking through a shop. A car appears without standing in the rain. Music, maps, dates, payments, work, news, entertainment, groceries, answers, all of it can be summoned by touching glass. That should feel like winning. So why does so much modern life feel weirdly flat? That is the part nobody wants to admit. The modern world removed thousands of tiny annoyances from ordinary life. Waiting, walking, asking, searching, getting bored, getting lost, standing in line, making small talk, figuring things out. But some of those annoyances were doing hidden work. They were giving life texture. A delay forced patience. An errand forced movement. A shop forced you to see another person. Getting lost created a story. Waiting made the thing feel bigger when it finally arrived. Convenience did not just save time. It changed what time feels like. The first thing convenience attacks is patience. When everything becomes instant, anything that is not instant starts to feel broken. A slow website feels offensive. A delivery taking 35 minutes feels personal. A quiet night feels empty. A normal task feels like bad design. The more friction we remove, the less friction we can tolerate. That is why convenience can make people more irritated while technically making life easier. Yesterday's miracle becomes today's minimum standard. The app that once felt magical becomes annoying because the button is in the wrong place. The streaming service that once felt endless becomes stressful because choosing takes effort. The phone that gives every answer makes a normal conversation feel painfully slow. Convenience raises the floor, then moves the goalpost. The second thing convenience attacks is effort. Effort is annoying while you are doing it. But effort is also part of why things feel satisfying afterward. Cooking is slower than ordering. Walking is slower than driving. Learning is slower than searching. Building something is slower than buying it. But when the effort disappears, the reward can shrink with it. A meal you ordered in 3 taps can vanish from memory by tomorrow. A show that autoplayed for 4 hours can leave almost no emotional footprint. A purchase that arrived overnight can feel exciting for 90 seconds, then become another object in the room. The thing arrived. The feeling did not. That is one of the traps of a convenience economy. It can deliver the result while skipping the tiny struggle that made the result feel earned, chosen, or real. And no, this does not mean all struggle is good. Some inconvenience is stupid. Some friction is just bad design. Nobody needs to romanticize a broken website, a terrible queue, or wasting 3 hours on a task that could take 3 minutes. But the modern world often treats every difficulty like a bug, and not every difficulty is a bug. Some difficulty is bonding, some is memory, some is skill, some is anticipation. Some is proof that you actually participated in your own life instead of outsourcing it. The third thing convenience attacks is people. A lot of convenience is really the removal of humans from normal life. You do not need to call the restaurant. You do not need to speak to the driver. You do not need to talk to the cashier. You do not need to ask for directions. You do not need to meet anyone to buy, sell, date, work, learn, exercise, or be entertained. That feels efficient. It can also make life strangely lonely, because most people do not build community through one huge emotional moment. They build it through tiny repeated contact. The person at the cafe, the neighbor on the walk, the worker behind the counter, the familiar stranger at the bus stop, the people who are simply around, because life requires you to be somewhere. When convenience removes the errand, it often removes the accidental human contact attached to the errand. You get the product, you lose the thread. Again, this is not always bad. Some people are exhausted, some people are anxious, some people need accessibility, privacy, safety, speed, or help. Convenience can be genuinely useful. Sometimes the best thing in the world is not having to deal with anyone. But when every rough edge is smoothed away, Daily life can become a private room with excellent service and no atmosphere. Everything arrives, nobody appears, and that is where the fourth trade begins. Convenience attacks boredom. Boredom used to be the gap between things. Waiting for a bus, sitting in a car, standing in a line, lying awake for a few minutes, eating alone, walking without headphones, doing nothing because there was nothing immediately available. Now those gaps are filled almost instantly. A half second of silence becomes a scroll. A Lyft ride becomes a notification check. A queue becomes a video. A meal becomes background content. A toilet break becomes a news feed. Even rest now comes with a feed. The problem is not that entertainment exists. The problem is that the mind rarely gets left alone long enough to finish a thought. Boredom feels useless, but boredom is where the brain digests life. It is where tiny realizations appear. It is where you notice what you are avoiding. It is where an idea has enough silence to become an idea. A frictionless world does not only remove waiting, it removes the mental space that waiting used to create. That is why convenience can make a person comfortable and restless at the same time. Everything is easier to access, but harder to enjoy. Everything is closer, but somehow less satisfying. You can have more options than any human in history and still feel like nothing sounds good. Because the issue is not access anymore. The issue is appetite. Once everything is available all the time, wanting becomes weaker. The movie is always there, so it feels less special. The food is always there, so it feels less earned. The product is always one click away, so buying it stops feeling like a decision and starts feeling like a reflex. Convenience makes life smoother. But sometimes smoothness becomes numbness. The fifth trait is control. Convenience feels like control because you can choose almost anything. Choose the meal, choose the route, choose the song, choose the show, choose the person, choose the product, choose the answer. But a life made of endless choices can start to feel less like freedom and more like management. You're always selecting, rating, skipping, comparing, tracking, refreshing, optimizing, and deciding. Even relaxation becomes another menu. You sit down to rest and immediately have to choose from 10,000 things designed to hold your attention. That is not exactly freedom. That is a casino where every machine is labeled your preference. And because every option is available, every choice feels slightly wrong. Maybe there is a better show, a better meal, a better person, a better route, a better deal, a better life one scroll away. Convenience promised to reduce effort. Then it handed you infinite tiny decisions. This is why the easiest version of life is not automatically the happiest version. Happiness does not only come from removing difficulty, it also comes from rhythm, effort, anticipation, contact, memory, and the feeling that you are doing more than consuming solutions to tiny discomforts. Convenience is not evil. A washing machine is good. Maps are good. Delivery can save a brutal day. Online shopping can help someone who cannot easily leave home. Remote work can change a life. The point is not to reject every modern tool and pretend misery disappears if everyone churns butter in a field. The point is that convenience has a hidden price, and the price is usually paid in tiny coins. A little patience, a little effort, a little contact, a little boredom, a little memory, a little participation. One coin does not look like much, but spend enough of them and life gets smoother while you get strangely emptier. So the question is not whether convenience should exist. The question is, which inconveniences were secretly keeping you human? Because the easiest version of life is not always the best version. Sometimes it is just the version with the fewest reasons to leave the couch.